What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Locked and Loaded and Lock and Load. Brian, let's hear the map.
Lock and Load is the map where we have to capture 5 specific points on the map called locks. To capture a lock, both players need to have a unit standing on the lock simultaneously for 20 seconds, uncontested by the enemy, to turn it green. If the enemy stands on a lock uncontested for 10 seconds, it turns red and starts a timer bar that ticks as long as it remains uncontested, and fills faster the more uncontested locks he has. If the bar reaches full, we lose. Kill bots spawn from enemy buildings. We cannot hit them in any way, and they only despawn after destroying a set number of your forces. Mineral shields spawn on your mineral patches. They block harvesting until destroyed or after 1 minute. Small circles appear on the ground which freeze your guys and slow your heroes.
Alright, so we have Twotuuu in the call with us today. Twotuuu, how are you today?
Great.
Great. So it's gonna be just Twotuuu in the call because it's actually incredibly difficult to obtain people on the call, time zone stuff, and it's generally difficult to obtain people on opposite side of the planet. So we're doing just Twotuuu today, and well, it's either having Twotuuu or I'll be very late on video production. So yes. So Twotuuu, how will we rank the commanders this week?
This is a Kill Bots mutation, which means that you're either very good or very bad. So the other thing is, though, even if you're not good for this particular mutation, even if you're not good with feeding, if you can clear quickly, that's actually good because you can end lock and load extremely quickly before the kill bots get out of control.
Yeah. So for me, there are two main jobs in this mutation. One is feeding, one is clearing. If you can feed and clear very easily, you're S. If you can feed and clear, you're A. If you can feed or clear but not both, you're in B. If you have trouble, you're in C, and if you're terrible, you're in D. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, he clears kind of quickly and he feeds kind of well. So he can feed for quite a long time, and if you use like Swarm Hose or something, he could actually feed for even longer. But if you just use Evolution Chambers, it's just fine as well. I put him in A.
Yeah. I actually had Abathur in S for the same reasons you mentioned. I just thought that with Brutalist you can clear really fast. But if you don't agree, that's not unanimous. So actually, yeah, it's not unanimous, therefore not S. So yeah, we'll put him in A. Any prestige will work, I think, but you'll find that that no prestige or tunneling horror will be more effective than the other two, right?
Yeah.
All right, put him in A. Alarak. So Alarak is good for clearing once you get your mothership, but not particularly good. And he doesn't feed that well. He can feed with just probes, so I put him in B. What do you think, Twotuuu?
So for Alarak, he clears extremely fast. The solo of this, I haven't tried this yet because I'm also behind, but he can finish this map by himself in 10 minutes, about like 10-minute 30.
That's not too bad.
So he can clear extremely fast. He doesn't feed very well, but early on you don't need to feed, like you just feed probes. So I put him in A, but I don't think I don't have a problem with B.
Yeah,
He's not as good as Abathur.
I would caution against putting him in A because while it's true that Alarak can clear fast, you need both allies to stand on the lock, and you have this
That's
syndrome
true.
of people just tunnel visioning on the bonus, which is why I didn't specifically mention clearing fast, because clearing fast most commanders can do that, but well, not most, but a lot of commanders can do that, but clearing while also being able to stall until the ally decides to capture the objective. That's why I put him in B. So is B okay for you?
Oh, yeah. I should also add that I guess for myself, self reminders, like if your commander clears from the back door and your ally cannot drop units except from the front door, that's actually a problem.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
like if you can clear the entire area, such as with like Tychus or something, like a nuke or something, that's different. But if you have to clear from the back and kind of like cap the lock from the back side, and your ally can't do it, then that actually doesn't help.
Yes,
So yeah,
absolutely.
I should keep that in mind.
Okay, so we were recommending Shadow of Death here, right?
Yes.
Without prestige, I think it's still B, but maybe lower B. Next, Arcturus. Where do we have him?
I ESOs are really slow at clearing, so I don't think that's really necessary. I think it's just easier to go blazing guns and shooting stuff to death, and you can feed bots with like your tons of troopers.
Yes.
Um, I I guess I put him in B, but I think A is not a bad idea either. I don't think A is unreasonable.
Yeah, I actually had it the other way around. I had him in A because I think he can feed reliably enough, and the map won't take too long. I hope that you won't be able to feed the kill bots that arrive with Earth Splitters and your cooldowns, your other cooldown abilities. You can clear the map and still feed. I had him in A, but I don't have a problem whatsoever putting him in B. So where do you lean more, A or B?
A. I lean more A because he feeds really well, and
Yeah.
he's like the enemies aren't stronger. They're just temporal fields that are annoying,
Yes.
and mineral shields, which you need to look back once in a while. But
Sometimes
that's about
temporal
it.
field might help you if you F2 a lot. You might have some troopers stuck in the field so that the bot won't have to won't have to chase your guys. Your guys will stand there waiting to be fed to the bot, which is a bit inhumane, but it does help you a little bit. So, all right, we'll put him in A. I think we're recommending Merchant of Death Prestige here, right?
Yes, more firepower
More
early on.
firepower. Yes.
This is a quick map.
Artanis, he's painful to use. He does get some good. His army is decent for clearing, but not fast enough that you'll be able to clear or carry while also being able to feed the bots. In fact, if you have Garden Shell, if you have any other prestige than Airship Commandant, you'll be a detriment because it will take twice as long to feed the bots. And the bots, the reason it's bad when you feed slowly is because the bots will retarget, and sometimes it will retarget to your buildings infrastructure, which can be very very annoying. That's why I had him in D. What do you think, Twotuuu?
Uh, One of the greatest things about Artanis is that he can warp in to capture locks. So
That's
if your
true.
ally comes in from the side, he can actually help as well. Um, I I think with P3, you can like clear an area with just Archon drop plus solar. Like you do that for 5 minutes and 10 minutes, you clear the big locks just like that. And then for the closer ones, you just get dragoons. So he's actually not that bad. Uh, I I but he's not like he's not sustainable in the long term. So you have to finish quickly.
Okay,
And if your ally's not with you, oh yeah, and if you're soloing, he attacks from the back, so he
there
doesn't
you
like
go.
clear the front doors. So I would put him in C or D.
I'm okay with C. You know me, I'm pretty harsh with Artanis, but if you think he's C, I'll put him in C.
All right.
All right, Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka can clear the map with just pack leaders, and all his minerals will be used to make lings and drones. Like lings and drones cost the same, so you can just like keep. You have basically, if you have like 2 hives plus 3 wardens or something, then you just have uh, 5 sources of production,
Yeah.
and you can use creep like primal hosts, but I don't recommend it. It's like extra work. It's
Yes.
just much easier to just use just like the mineral stuff. Uh, yeah, lings and drones. I put him in A.
Okay, I actually had Dehaka in B because yes, he can feed with Zerglings and drones, but I think at some point the mineral shields might start being a bother, especially if you're feeding with the same guys you're destroying the. Well, you could have a couple of primals there, and yes, the primal packagers can clear, but the issue I think is when the ally doesn't decide to capture the lock. the clearing speed of Dehaka won't really have a factor. Yes, you can clear, but is it enough that the ally will be able to capture the lock, or will be able to just end the game before the kill bots become too much? I had him in B, but if you think despite that he's still A, I'm willing to move him up to A.
So for this one, for my run, I cleared the entire right area and I cleared most of the top area by 11 minutes.
Doesn't sound too bad.
And
All right.
I still had thousand something minerals left. And I was like, I had a lot of eating
How
the bots.
many
So
hives and primal wardens did you have?
3 wardens, 2 hives.
All right. All right. If you think that's
I'm
then
pretty sure I could have made like 1 more warden and then but I was already done, so I didn't bother.
yeah. If you think that's worthy of A, then I don't really have any strong objections. I just thought he was B because I didn't think he would be able to feed sufficiently. I haven't played this Dehaka yet, but if you think he's A, then we'll put him in A.
Yeah, because you don't need any army to clear the map because like pack leaders are just so strong. One Mervar summon clears the entire area
Yeah.
of everything there.
All right. So any prestige here works, but we're recommending the primal contender so that your pack leader is even
Primal
stronger.
Contender.
All right.
I feel like if it's not P2, he clears a lot slower because you need the pack leader strength.
Oh yeah. Phoenix
Double damage. Whatever.
Phoenix Caldalis and the Phoenix suits can clear pretty quickly, but you will run out of you do need an army to replenish your shells. Maybe you can do this with Unconquered Spirit so that your champions refund even more. But I can see him having issues feeding if he does need to also macro up an army. And when the kill boss decide to go for your shell farm, which do cost more than worker still. That's why I had him in B. What do you think?
Phoenix, I feel like maintaining control of your army on top of like killing mineral shields and everything is quite taxing on your control.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to feed with observers and probes, but at the same time you still need an army to push, and then you need a shell farm to replace Caldalis and stuff. Probably still would use P2. You probably won't go Stargate stuff. You just probably get the Robo and Gateway champs because that should be enough to clear areas.
Even if it's
air? Like the enemy air, if you clear quickly enough, they're not gonna be strong enough to do anything. Like you have a regular Phoenix suit.
You mean if your ally is merciful enough, you won't have to deal with the bigger waves.
I guess I'm always gonna assume like your ally's not griefing. I mean, if you can survive longer,
people intentionally grief. It's just that they're not used to. I think people on the solo queue are not used to completing lock and load or maps like that in less than like 15 minutes. They're just kind of used to ping-ponging around because they want to go for the bonus. It's not that they're intentionally griefing. It's just that they're used to taking longer. They're just used to taking their time on this map.
Well, it's like if
but it
you're
does feel
like trying to sneakily capture, that matters. But if you're like actually clearing the entire path and like the whole map is cleared and they still don't capture, then that's
on them.
It's kind of like, well, if you get to that point, you pretty much can spend all your money to feed robots.
All right, that makes sense. So where do you have him?
I put him in B.
All right. turns out we had him in the same rank. All right.
Yeah.
Han Horner, where do we have him?
I would put I put Han Horner in B, but not because they clear fast. It's because they can feed for very long. Plus,
the refund
helps. Yeah. The passive helps feeding a lot as well. So you just keep making Reapers, you feed it, and you get a refund sometimes, and that's good. And then you have like Strike Fighters. If you're using P1, you're pretty much not using your gas for anything anyways. So you just make 10 platforms and you start bombing things.
How do you deal with mineral shields as Han and Horner?
I would what I do, I don't F2, so I can't F2, or I trap Hellions and I right-click them. Like I have
Yeah.
a hotkey for mineral shields, whether it's a sunken colony or what, not spine crawler, not sunken colony,
Yeah, or
spine
trapped
crawler or
army
something, and then
units.
yeah. So in this case, I would put Hellions on a key, and then I'll just shift click minerals.
Do you think it's worthwhile to use airstrikes on the mineral shields just to clear them without having
Later
to?
on, yes, when they're like 3 at a time or something, but early on, no.
All right,
Early on, you want to clear
that's fair.
enemies.
I had
And
them in. Yeah, go ahead.
also, you can shoot down enemies that are waiting because they just stand there.
Yeah, I had them in C, but it didn't factor in how the salvage mechanic will also help your ally feed, by just making the whole feeding process a lot cheaper. I had them in C because you feed with pretty much the same army you're pushing with, and you will just attrition more when you're already an attritioning commander. And I feel that might tip the scales a bit, so I had him in C. But do you insist that he's B?
No, not really. They don't clear fast, and I guess
Yeah,
I think that's a higher priority than surviving. Winning
yeah.
is more important than not dying.
So do you think they're C or B?
I think it's C.
Yeah,
C.
I think C is kind of closer to where most people will have them.
Because their pushing
Karax.
power is really weak.
Karax is in the same boat as Artanis. I had them in D, but it could move up to C. Essentially, the repair beam will make it annoying to feed the kill bots, and if you're using the third prestige Solarized Celestial, you will have I would say better clearing power because you have Spear of Verdun, and you'll have cheaper mineral shield clearing power because you can take out like three orbital or three mineral shields with the same orbital strike, but it's gonna be slow feeding, and if you especially if you don't even provide passive current to your ally, maybe the second prestige you can get observers out for cheaper and feed with those alongside workers, but you'll still need to use army to clear alongside your spear Verdun. What do you think, Tutu?
I think Karax is worse than Artanis because his feeding is more difficult and his clearing is extremely slow.
Yeah.
If you're using P3 or top bar, you need to wait for those upgrades to kick in.
Oh
And
yeah.
that takes a long time. It actually takes quite a while. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so if you want to finish like by 10 minutes or even like 12 minutes, you're gonna need to be on top of your macro while you're feeding. Or you
Yes.
have if your allies like feeding for you, then that's being
That's great.
carried.
That's being carried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't really use static D because killbots will break them.
Absolutely.
So I would say Karax is lower than Artanis in D.
Okay. But we moved Artanis to C though, so Karax would
Yes,
be alone
so
in
lower
D.
than that.
Okay. So D.
D. Although if you think he's that bad and he's an E, I don't
I don't think he's
have.
E. I don't think anyone's that bad, especially on this map. I
All
definitely
right.
think D though.
Yeah,
All right. Which
feeding is not.
prestige would you recommend second prestige over third prestige, or still third
Yes,
prestige? All right.
I
Yeah.
would recommend second prestige, but you have if you fight Zerg, then you're in trouble because I would steal enemies and use them.
Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Just steal the guards. There we go. All right. So D for Karax. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, P2 clears really quickly with effort. You if you're by yourself, you might get ganged up on, and if you're like in a temporal field, you might be slowed like trying to escape. That can be a problem. Um, you're just feeding lings and maybe evolution chambers, and you can stall with omega worms. So later on, you can also use your lings to attack because if killbots show up, you just kind of surround the killbot and burrow
Yeah.
and continue fighting. Although you don't want to lose lings to the fight, you kind of use lings to like clean up whatever is left after the big AOE threats are gone.
Yeah.
I put Kerrigan in A.
I also had Kerrigan in A. She clears decently. She doesn't need to clear fast even. Because she can feed almost indefinitely, she can take her sweet time clearing the map. and she can absolutely clear the map at any speed that she wants. And feeding is not a problem, but she's not quite on S tier. That's why I had her in A. So yeah, it's both A. We recommend, I think, either the second prestige, Folly of Man, or the third prestige, the
Yes.
the Desolate Queen. Both work here just fine, depending on what
Yes.
you prefer. All right, there we go. A for Kerrigan. Nova, I had her in B because she can clear very well. Feeding is the issue. While other commanders can feed with, for example, workers and gas, low gas, or gas units like observers, she can pretty much only feed with workers, and that will decrease the amount of airstrikes, for example, that you can land. It might even cost you, for example, if you want to go for spider mines or liberators, even cost also 750 minerals. That will definitely, the feeder will definitely eat into her power to ping pong back and forth, especially when the 11-minute waves and so forth start to arrive. But not that bad. B is still, I think, decent. What do you think, Twotuuu?
There's a unit that she has which is great for feeding, and that is a Raven. So
Raven?
you turn off the auto cast for the healing thing, which is the hotkey is D by default, and then you turn it off, and then you can throw like it looks like a disc. So you throw a disc at the
healing
killbot
drone?
and it'll eat it.
All right.
Yeah, the healing drone.
That
Then
makes
you
sense.
you can also throw the turrets, and if you get 3 charges each, then that's cool. Like you it won't be enough, but it will lessen the burden because you can essentially each one of those is worth 50 minerals later, because instead
So
of
it's
feeding an
extra
SUV, you feed one
workers.
of those. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, she clears really fast. So before it gets out of hand, she can deal with most of the map, especially now that P3 is a thing. Although I think you can also just use P1, and you get more ravens.
Yes.
She feels like Alarak, which is
B.
not good at feeding, but clears very well. So B.
All right. There we go. Unanimous B. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor is worse Han and Horner because they feed like you feed much better, but your clearing is much worse. Because you're using your army to clear, but you're like gonna lose stuff while you're fighting, and if you take a bad engagement, then you're gonna lose a lot, and you will probably will have enough to continually feed the bots. But mineral shields as well, like you have to be on top of breaking them, otherwise you're gonna like lose. You need those minerals. You really need the minerals.
Spider mines don't count
But
toward killbot kills, do they?
yeah, they do not.
That's unfortunate.
Killbots don't target spider mines.
It's very sad.
I put Raynor. It's like same. They're not. He's not worse. Like a whole tier worse than Han Horner. So I put them in the same one. C.
Yeah, same Z's. I also had Raynor in C. He clears slowly, but he can feed with continuous mule dropping. It's just gonna be very inhumane. But it does work, and it's not as bad as Karax, so there we go, C. Do not use Backwater Marshal. You have been warned. There we go. Stetboy, I had Stetboy in A, because he can feed with Zerglings, he can clear very well, he can ping pong back and forth, he can even clear with Infestors later on, but not quite S tier. I had him in A. What do you think, Twotuuu?
I put Stetmann in S because he clears and feeds like pretty much forever.
Yeah.
And then if you have lots of gas, so you make infestors and you throw the infestors in a direction, and they will break stuff and help you feed.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
so
right.
they will kill stuff, and like they don't always feed necessarily, but they don't get stopped. Like you don't care if the killbots push them.
Yes.
They're pretty much expendable. So yeah, and then Super Gary is Super Gary. He does a lot by himself. So
all right. If you say he's S, then I'll also put him in S. There we go. I had him A, but you said S, so I'll put him in S. Don't have a problem with it. Stukov, where do you have him?
I don't think this is worth. It's not necessary to discuss. He's
all right.
just S.
Swann. Swann, he's, I would say, not quite as bad as Karax, but close. because he doesn't clear very fast. You're gonna use the laser drill, but at least you don't have repair beam that will slow down the process of feeding, but you do have to manually switch off the auto repair of SCVs. You can also you can also use your laser drill to clear by floating a factory or something to just keep just eating away at enemies. You can even muster up an army to make the clearing faster. Maybe you want a gas heavy army like siege tanks so you can feed with SCVs, but not really. I have it between C to D. Just barely above Karax. What do you think?
I I feel like he's worse than.
Worse than.
No, I don't know if he's worse than Karax.
So he's
I don't know if
definitely
he's
D.
worse. He's definitely D or lower because
All right.
he's as bad as Karax or worse.
All right.
Because his clearing is slow and his feeding is bad.
Yeah, this one does take a while to ramp up. So, all right. If you say he's, oh wait, okay, I had him in C to D, but if or do you want to put him down to E?
I
Is
would
he
say he's equal to Karax.
I thought you were gonna say he's equal to Karax. Okay, let's put him in D then. Tychus, where do you have him?
Tychus has the Dehaka feeling, which is like Tychus clears really fast and he's really strong. And you feed with Sirius turrets for the early game. Sirius just basically stays behind and feeds turrets and maybe like slowly pushes into one of the close nearby bases while Tychus clears one of the starts attacking the farther ones. And then you make a third command center and you just feed SCVs later on. And
right.
let's see, how long did I survive? I survived until 15 minutes by myself. And I still had 1,000 minerals left, so I wasn't out of money.
Can you also feed with revitalizers for Rattlesnake?
I guess I didn't even get a 4th outlaw. I just had 3.
All right. So.
But yeah, I put him in A.
I actually had him in B, because for me he feels more like an Alarak type that does have good clearing, but will have a bit of pain feeding. I don't personally think he can muster up enough strength, but if you say that he can, just stop at the 3rd outlaw and just go full worker feeding from there, then all right, I'll defer to you. Let's put him in A. What?
So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess he's similar to the B guys. If the game goes on really long though, he's in trouble. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I can see the argument for B over A, and I don't have a big issue with that.
All right, let's put him in B. We're gonna use Lone Wolf, right? That's pretty much his best shot.
Yeah.
Because you do want the outlaw split apart so they can be more powerful and you can clear more sides at the same time. He's not that bad though. B is still decent. You're among decent company. Our Phoenix, Nova, Alarak, that's not bad. That's still decent. Vorazun on this map, the time stop thing will aggro all the guys, which means you will need to put defenses on the locks. And defenses cost money, which will be more difficult because you also have to feed the kill bots. Yes, your army will be primarily gas heavy, but I'm not sure that after spending all that you will have enough to feed the kill bots. Clearing is okay, I guess, but the anti-help of using time stop or just not using time stop at all might be kind of pulling her down a bit. I actually had her in C. What do you think, though? I want to move up to B. What do you think?
I don't think it feels like if you don't use time stop, its clearing is extremely slow.
Yeah.
And if you use time stop, you make things harder for everyone.
Yeah.
And you can feed with stasis wards, but stasis wards take a while to get started. Plus, if your oracles are too close to the killbot will just walk through the stasis wards trying to hit the Oracle, and you lose all of them, which I learned the hard way. So it's like you have a good way to feed them, but you have to like be mindful of not being too close when they start to fight the stasis wards or when they start to attack the stasis wards. And clearing's actually not that good. So I would put Vorazun in D.
D. Wow, that's even lower than what I have him. Is he
Because the speed
closer?
people, they either clear quite reliably or they can like feed reliably, but I don't think Vorazun is either of those.
Yeah. So do you think he's closer to Karax and Swann than he is to Artanis, Han, and Horn, and Raynor?
Yes. But better than Karax and Swann, for sure. Better
Better
than
than
them, but
so
not
top of D?
better than yeah.
All right, let's put him in D. See, Stick Bender, this is what you get for not being here. Zagara, where do I have him?
This easy S. You just run P1, run through everything.
Yeah, I just want
you
to make
still have
sure.
stuff left.
By the way, for Stetboy, we recommend second prestige, Super Gary. For Stukov, any prestige will work. Maybe you'll be less strong without the infested colonist compound, so maybe don't use the first prestige, Frightful Flesh Welder. But you'll still be very strong. But yeah, you want to use one of the other prestiges for Stukov. That's not P1. For Zagara, any prestige will work, but of course it'll be super effective if you use the first prestige, Scourge Queen. Zeratul, I actually had him in A because you can just solo clear with Zeratul himself, and you can just feed Watchers and Probes indefinitely even. Yeah, that's why I had him in A. Not quite as good as S, but I would say pretty good. What do you think?
I put him in S because he does everything by himself. He doesn't. He does everything by himself, and you spend all your money on probes and watchers. And how many? I had 3 Robos, 4 Nexuses, and I just kept making stuff. And
Personally,
I had at the end of the game, I had 60 something supply. I finished at 14 minutes. And
personally,
I think I used I used P3 and I used the Legion like a few times. I don't remember where, but I used it a few times.
Personally, I think he's closer to A than S. He's really good, but the guys in S feed without even thinking about it, and they don't care. The guys in A still feed pretty easily, but they kind of have to think about it. And Zeratul, I think, is in the camp where they do kind of have to think about it. That's why I had him in A instead of S. But is he really that good?
Right.
That I'm willing to defer to S if you think he's still that good. But I mean, you've played this, so I will defer if you really think that.
He, like, if you're going for a long game, it's similar to Kerrigan, where he can still last really long.
Really long.
Like, if your ally is stalling or whatever, like going for bonus, you can still last pretty long, and you don't have to really worry about anything. You just keep making watchers and probes.
Yeah. So maybe he's A plus or something. Like just do your macro cycles, just clear with Zeratul. Or well, if you think he's S, then I'll defer to you.
I don't know if enemy comp matters too much because Terran's really annoying, but I don't think it matters too much because the enemies aren't stronger.
What do you mean enemy comp? Just demote them. They'll be worse.
Well, if you use P3, then you don't have that guy. But
that's true.
You clear faster with your tornadoes and your spinning.
That's very true. So, see, you have to think about it. The guys in S, we didn't have to think about them.
That's true. All right, makes sense.
Put him in A.
A.
All right, because you have to think about it. All right. Does Zagara go to double S?
No.
No? So no double S?
Is Zagara really that good?
Because she clears she just just clears fast, and she just feeds like not even having to think about it
That's So you mean like this mutation is not even a thing at all?
for her.
Um, I guess
But yeah,
that does.
the guys in double S, we generally just instantly say double S. Like we don't even have to think about it. If you have to think about double
Uh,
S, it's probably not double S.
no, because then would Stukov also have to be double S?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, is then let's not put either of them.
Or
Double
no,
S
no,
is
I was thinking you can put both.
both. I
No,
just want to
well,
keep double S a very exclusive club, and I don't think just the two of us can decide whether someone is double S. I generally would reserve double S for when at least three of us are here, with either
uh,
Eviling or Herman or Styxbender.
all right.
So all right,
Sure.
maybe if
I will add that for both Stukov and Zagara, I got the bonus as well because I
so
had
the
this.
ally
I
won't even have the excuse for griefing. Oh my
For
goodness.
Stetmann, I did not get the bonus.
So Stetmann bottom of S, which is still S. There we go. Stukov or Zagar, I guess you just use whichever you prefer. If you want to clear
I think Zagara's
fast,
better
I
because
do. I
she's
do also
more
think Zagar's better.
powerful.
I do think Zagar's better for S. But if you're the kind of guy who just wants to take your time and really ease your way into the mutation, but still not think about it, then Stukov will work almost just as fine. So there we go. Who's top of A? Zeratul,
Zeratul.
because yeah, he was an S candidate. After that, Abathur,
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan. Okay,
Because worms are good, like
Worms,
stalling and
Zerglings are good.
getting back home to
Evolution
heal.
chambers are good, and then Abathur,
Yeah,
and then
Dehaka.
yeah, okay, yeah. Arcturus is a bit more inhumane, so yeah, let's put the Haka there, and then Arcturus. For B, Tychus is an A candidate, right?
Yes.
So let's put Tychus top of B. And then
I would put Phoenix at the bottom,
Phoenix at the bottom. All right.
and then I don't know about the other two.
We'll just use you whoever you prefer. I'm ambivalent about them also. For C, Hot and Hoarder top of C.
Top of C. Yes. Artanis bottom.
Okay, then Raynor's the middle. There we go. For D, top of D,
Vorazun
Vorazun.
top.
Yeah. Then
And the other two,
Karax,
I don't know.
then Swann. All right. So that's gonna be. Oh wait, do I have any synergies of anyone B to D who might be better than Stetboy? A combination of two guys.
No one's better than Zagara and Stukov.
No one's better than Zagara.
Uh,
Zagara's better off alone than C or D or even B guys put together. I think
we have like two feeders, and like the people in B, they are
yeah,
the clearers.
clear. So pick either Raynor and Horner or someone in B tier. Yeah, one ally is Horn or Raynor. The other ally is one of the B tiers. So that's your synergy. Yeah, any one of those will work. In fact, if you pick Horner, the guys in the B tiers could even feed better. Like Alarak could feed better, Phoenix could feed better because they have salvage. So there we go. All right, that's yeah, it's a short tier list because we don't really repeat ourselves. We're pretty concise and we generally agreed, right? There are very few commanders where we had
It's
disagreements.
pretty like it's kill bots, so
Yeah,
the ones that are good, and the ones that are bad are bad.
it's kind of obvious who is who. For my original tier list, I had Abathur in S. He went down to A. I had Stetboy in A. He went up to S. I had Artanis in D. He went up to C. I had Swann in D. Swann C. He went down to D. Karax stayed in D. Yeah, it's pretty similar to my original list. It's kind of Killbots, you know who's who. Killbots, you know who's who. That's the long short of it. Alright guys, watch Twotuu's videos. I will link them down below and I'll see you guys next time.